You're standing in the garage. It's late. The car is up on jack stands. And underneath it, there's a crew member pushing on the nose of the car, before it has even turned a single lap. Nobody announced what happened next. No press release. No memo. Just a piece of metal, bolted onto every car in the field, and almost nobody outside the garage ever heard about it. By the end of this video, you'll understand why one driver says NASCAR just took something away from the fastest team in the sport, and why the man who built that team's fiercest rival isn't so sure he's right. Before you understand what changed, you need to understand what the 2026 season looked like before it. Toyota was dominant. Not close dominant, genuinely ahead of the field. Fans had their own theories, many tied to the ongoing 2311 racing lawsuit against NASCAR, but the more grounded explanation was simpler. Chevrolet's new body had real balance problems, and that effectively removed a third of the field from title contention before the season even got going. That left Ford as the only other manufacturer in the conversation, and even then, not close enough to seriously challenge Toyota. For most of the season, that's just how it was. If you're new here, this is NASCAR Voltage, and we're closing in on 500 subscribers, a small but real milestone for this channel. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, subscribing costs nothing and it genuinely helps this channel grow, so if you haven't already, now's a good time. Your support is what allows more of this kind of digging to keep happening. Now, back to the story, because until the end of July, that competitive picture held steady. Then one sentence on a podcast changed everything. The rumor started small. Marty Smith, appearing on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast, was talking about Joey Logano almost in passing when he said, "Marty Smith, I know there was like a little adjustment with the nose of the car with a splitter that they feel like might help their program out a little bit." He followed that with a warning, delivered almost as an aside, "Marty Smith, do not let Logano hang around." No explanation followed. No one clarified what adjustment meant. The comment just sat there. That ambiguity didn't last. Bob Pockrass was asked directly whether Smith's comment referred to a change that helped Ford's downforce. His answer became the factual backbone of the entire story. Bob Pockrass, starting with North Wilkesboro, the teams had to add some struts to the front of the splitter that should keep it from moving/deforming while at speed. He added a caveat for balance. It was debatable inside the garage how much this actually mattered, and he noted Toyota was still strong at Indianapolis. But the mechanism itself was now confirmed. The front splitter works like a blade cutting through the air. The flatter and lower it sits at racing speed, the more front-end grip the car generates. If that part physically moves under load, it stops behaving like the part that passed inspection. That's the entire rule change, a few metal struts. But inside the garage, it detonated. The first credible validation came from someone with rare perspective, both a driver and a team owner. Brad Keselowski, who finished top 10 in both races immediately following the change, wasn't someone easily dismissed as chasing excuses. He said, "Brad Keselowski, this didn't really get any media play, but was a big deal." That statement carries weight specifically because Keselowski sits on both sides of the sport, the engineering side and the cockpit. When someone in his position calls it significant, it stops being a fan theory. Then came Richmond. On August 15th, at Richmond Raceway's Cookout 400, Joey Logano won his second race of the season, driving the number 22 Ford, with Chase Briscoe finishing second for Toyota. Afterward, Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic asked Logano directly whether he now felt like a championship threat again. He didn't dodge the question. "Joey Logano, I feel much better about it." Then came the line that carries the most weight in this entire story. Joey Logano brought some of the guys that were taking advantage of some of that stuff more back towards us. A race winner had just said, on the record, that a group of competing teams had an advantage, and, in his view, no longer does. Jordan Bianchi's follow-up reporting on the Teardown podcast filled in the remaining details. The front splitter on some cars had reportedly been shifting slightly in the airflow at racing speed. NASCAR responded around North Wilkesboro by mandating bracing to stop that movement. The most important detail in the entire story is this: no team was found to be breaking any rule. What made this a manufacturer storyline rather than a technical footnote was the next detail. The previous setup had reportedly been closely linked to Toyota's Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 racing cars. Dale Earnhardt Jr. offered the most vivid explanation of what teams were actually doing. he didn't dismiss the theory, he partially validated it, then went further into the technical detail. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the teams kind of make the car like a banana. He described cars sitting on jack stands in the garage, with jacks placed underneath the front splitter to hold it in one exact position before the car had turned a single lap. On the purpose of that positioning, he said, Dale Earnhardt Jr., to keep that in a certain position so that it'll go through tech and pass. Then came the twist, what happens once the car actually hits the track? Dale Earnhardt Jr., things move and twist and carry on and the car kind of moves into what positions that they want it to be in. In other words, the car that passes inspection on Friday is not necessarily the same car racing on Sunday. Some teams and manufacturers, in his account, were simply better at this than others, without confirming which ones, or by how much. Even Earnhardt Jr. couldn't get a consistent answer from the people who actually work in the garage. When he polled people directly, the responses contradicted each other. Some said the change wouldn't affect anything meaningful. Others said it could change everything about the competitive order. There was no expert consensus, no shared data point, just a garage that genuinely disagreed with itself. That disagreement extended to the explanation itself. Earnhardt Jr. raised his own doubt, maybe this isn't about struts at all. Maybe Ford is simply hitting a stretch of the schedule that already favors the manufacturer. The tracks in question, Richmond, North Wilkesboro, Loudon, New Hampshire, Phoenix, and Martinsville, are short tracks where Ford has historically performed well. Chase Briscoe made a similar point independently, noting that 3 of the final 5 regular season races sit under a mile in length, squarely in Ford's strength zone. His own comment reflected that concern directly. Chase Briscoe, there's a lot of short tracks coming up. We have to step our game up. The statistics complicate both theories rather than settling either one. Toyota hasn't disappeared from the results sheet. The manufacturer placed 4 cars in the top 6 at North Wilkesboro, finished 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th at Indianapolis, picked up another win at Iowa, and still finished 2nd, 5th, and 7th behind Logano even at Richmond. Denny Hamlin's reaction after Richmond was brief and pointed. Denny Hamlin, just a smidge off. Ford's gains were real too. Logano led 323 of 450 laps at North Wilkesboro, ending a 45-race winless streak, and the manufacturer put 4 cars in the top 8 at Indianapolis. But both of those strong Ford results came at tracks where Ford has traditionally performed well anyway. The data raises the next question instead of answering the current one. If you're finding this kind of detail useful, this is exactly the type of breakdown this channel is built around. Comment your take on which theory you believe, and share this with another NASCAR fan who'd want to see it too. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next. Earnhardt Jr. identified the one test that would actually settle the argument. Dale Earnhardt Jr., send these boys to 1.5 miles, then I'll be able to tell you a little bit more. That test hasn't happened yet, because NASCAR hasn't raced an intermediate track since the struts were mandated. Loudon and Daytona are next on the schedule, and neither will answer the question. Daytona in particular is decided by pack racing and fuel strategy, not aerodynamics. That leaves the sport in an unusual position. No rule was broken. No team was penalized. And the garage itself remains split on whether any of it mattered. The only tracks capable of proving or disproving this theory are the intermediate ones, and those races fall inside the playoffs, with a championship on the line. Somewhere between now and then, the sport will find out whether Ford actually caught up on merit, or whether NASCAR quietly took something away from the team that earned it. Right now, nobody in that garage agrees on the answer.